The surface I'm working on today is Clairefontaine Pastel Mat, which I use for all of my pastel pieces. I'm going to be using pan pastels and applying them with soft tools, that's spelled SOFFT, for the background and also the base layer of the goat itself. And then I'm also using some Stabilo Carbothello and some Faber-Castell Pitt pastel pencils just to create more layers of depth and texture on top. Okay, so starting with the background, I am blocking in a range of greens and cool blue greys, and I'm mixing colours directly onto the paper rather than trying to pre-mix anything. So the goal for this is a muted, out of focus kind of background, so the colours don't have to be too precise. I'm going to darken the corners very slightly as well because that's going to help bring the viewer's attention to the centre of the piece where I want that focus to be. When I'm applying the pan pastels in the background, I'm slightly overlapping the outline of the goat on purpose because if you stop exactly at the outline, you might get a kind of halo effect where that edge shows a little bit of the paper showing through, and it makes it look like the goat is kind of cut out and stuck onto the background. If you overlap the background over the edge of the goat, and then you overlap the goat back over the background slightly, it won't have that gap or edge and it will make it look more natural. If you find that your soft tool sponges are wearing out very quickly, which is a common problem for people who are just starting out using pan pastels, the reason most people end up destroying their tools so quickly is because they push harder when the pastel stops coming off of the tool. You'll notice when you first pick up some pastel from the pan and apply it to your paper, a lot of that pastel will come off of your tool onto the paper, but after a few strokes, not much pastel comes off of your tool. A lot of people end up pressing harder at this point to try and get more pastel to come off, but if you're working on a paper like Pastel Mat or a sanded paper, you're basically just sanding away your tools. When you're running out of pastel, go back to your pans and pick up more pastel. You'll have to do this quite often, especially in the first layer, pretty much every few strokes to avoid damaging your sponges too quickly. I'm adding quite a lot of pan pastel to the background here just to help create a softer, more blended effect, which I'm able to do because I'm not planning on adding any details or texture with the pastel pencils on top of the background itself. For the main subject, you don't want to add this much pastel in your base layer, and I'm going to explain why in a second. So moving on to the goat itself, when I'm working on the main subject, I don't want to fill up the tooth of the paper with too much pastel in that first layer. So the tooth is basically the texture or like the little grooves of the paper, and I like to explain it like it has these little hills and valleys. So when you add your pastel to the surface, it catches on the top of the hills and then deposits some of that pigment into the valleys. So the more pastel you add, the more it's going to fill up those valleys, and then they end up becoming level with the top of the hills, which creates a slick, flat surface where nothing is able to stick to anymore, which means you're not going to be able to add as many layers of texture or detail on top with your pastel pencils. So with the goat, you only want to add a very light layer of pan pastel in the base layer so that you leave some of that texture of the tooth of the paper for your pastel pencil layers. It's going to look quite blotchy with a lot of the paper showing through, and that's exactly what you want. Imagine picking up your art supplies and feeling confident every step of the way, knowing exactly how to create beautiful, realistic artwork. When you join the KR Fine Art Academy, you'll get instant access to the growing library of over 100 full-length projects, so you can focus on what inspires you most at your own pace. Each tutorial is real-time with calm, easy-to-follow narration and includes everything you need to follow along, like downloadable reference photos, a traceable outline, and a complete supply list with the exact colours that I'm using. As part of the Academy, you can join our private community to share your work, ask questions, get feedback, and connect with other artists learning alongside you. You'll also get instant access to my Create with Confidence course, which is perfect for beginners. It covers the foundations of drawing and painting, how to choose and edit reference photos, understand values, basic color theory, and create accurate outlines, so you can jump into the tutorials feeling confident. Whether you're a beginner or a more experienced artist ready to improve your skills, the KR Fine Art Academy gives you everything you need to transform your art, boost your confidence, and truly enjoy the process of creating artwork you're proud of. Click the link in the description to join us today. In this base layer, I've used a lot of more saturated colours like blues, purples, and kind of burnt oranges. And obviously, this goat is not actually blue and purple in real life, but I personally like using these kinds of colours because it looks more interesting than if I just used only neutral colours. Once I've blocked in the whole base layer with pan pastel, I blend everything out with a cotton tip, which is going to help push the pastel into that tooth of the paper a little bit, which then helps to smooth everything out and allows for more layers on top. So moving on to the pastel pencils, I'm starting with just white for the entire goat. And I know that there are a lot of different colours on this goat, but the reason that I'm using white for this layer is so that I can focus entirely on the fur texture and the values without having to think about colour at the same time. I'm then going to come through with other colours and glaze them over any areas that need to be adjusted. And if you're not sure what glazing is, it's basically a technique that a lot of oil painters or acrylic or watercolour painters use, where they will add a transparent or kind of see-through layer of colour over their previous layer so that it alters the colours without changing any of the previously added details or values too much. I don't see many people do this with pastels, but you can still use this technique here as well. So I'm adding a lot of fur texture and detail over the whole goat, and then in the next few layers I'll lightly glaze some colours over the top to tint those colours underneath. I find this really helpful because I don't have to worry about switching colours all the time, and when I do add colour later, it's easier for me to create softer transitions and blending and shading by pressing lighter or harder in different areas. It's going to make a lot more sense when we get onto that next layer. When it comes to sharpening my pastel pencils, I use a craft knife rather than a pencil sharpener. I've reached out to some of the main brands that make pastel pencils, and they all actually recommend using a blade or a craft knife or something similar to sharpen their pastel pencils. Faber-Castell specifically told me that their pencils contain quartz sand, which damages the sharpener blades really quickly, and then those blunt blades end up causing your pencils to crumble and break very easily. I've tried most sharpeners that have been recommended to me, and I've wasted a lot of pastel because of breakage. With a craft knife, you're only removing the wooden casing and you're not wasting any of the pastel itself. It's pretty quick as well once you get the hang of it, and it saves you time and money in the long run. Also, pastel pencils aren't really designed to keep a really sharp point like a coloured pencil or a graphite pencil, and for this kind of work you really don't need a super sharp point anyway. I use the edges or kind of the sides of the tip if I need a slightly sharper line, and if I do need a very fine point, which is rare, I can use a little bit of sandpaper to gently sharpen the tip a little bit. When I'm creating fur texture, I'm making sure to pay attention to the reference photo to make sure that my pencil strokes are going in the same direction as the fur growth. For example, the fur is quite long and clumped in sections on the neck and the back, but it's really short and almost smooth looking on the bridge of the nose. The direction of the fur is almost horizontal across the edge of the nose and also the cheek, and then the direction and the length of fur is going to change over different parts of the animal, so you need to pay attention to things like that. I'm also making clumps of fur rather than evenly spaced individual hairs. This is going to be the case with most animal fur and also human hair as well. We don't actually see a lot of the individual strokes of fur. It's more the general texture with shapes and shadows and highlights of each clump. Some animals like this goat will have a more wiry looking coat, so I will end up adding more individual pieces of fur in the end layer than what I would normally do on an animal, especially one that has softer looking fur, because that's going to help give me that wiry looking texture on this goat specifically. So here I'm actually doing a similar thing to what I did with the white pencil, but with black instead. So I'm creating texture and details in all of the darker shadow areas with the black, and then I'm going to come through with other colours in the next few layers to tint that black and white texture over the whole goat. A lot of people will tell you that you should never use straight black in your artwork because it can look quite flat and lifeless, and it's better to mix your own black using other colours because it will give more depth and dimension. And I do agree with this to some extent. If I use my black pastel pencil in an artwork, I will usually layer in some other colours in that area as well because it helps it not look as flat, and it actually looks deeper and darker than just adding black by itself. But also I will use a straight black pencil in that layering process because it's very hard to layer and mix a very dark black using pastels compared to using other mediums like oil or acrylic. So by using the black, it's going to help keep it as dark as possible, but then you can add in other colors as well to give that depth and dimension and stop it from looking flat. Once I've got the white and black texture across the whole goat, I'm going to blend with a clean finger rather than a cotton tip. The cotton tip is a bit too harsh at this stage of the process and it's going to blend out too much of that pencil texture, whereas using my finger is going to help soften the graininess without completely removing the fur texture and details that we just added. So here I'm glazing over the horns with some earthy orange colours as well as some yellows in the areas that are a bit more vibrant, and I'm holding the pencil further back so that I can apply it gently on the side a little bit. I'm going to add another layer of texture to the fur with the pastel pencils, mainly using the black and white because I want it to have a little bit more of a wiry look where you can see more individual strokes. For this goat specifically, I ended up not needing to glaze as much as I normally would. The contrast between the white pencil strokes and the colourful base layer underneath was actually creating the right kind of wiry texture on its own. In a piece where the fur is softer, I would glaze more to blend those colours together so that there was less harsh differences between the lighter and the darker strokes and make it look smoother in general. But here, that contrast of the lighter highlights and the darker shadows is actually helping to create that more wiry look that I'm after. For the small amount of glazing that I did do on the fur, I used some of the earthy oranges as well as some rich dark blue over the top of the darkest shadows, which helps add that depth.